Hola! We're going to talk about education, and we're interviewing 2 teachers in the Auburn area. And y'all can introduce yourself.
I'm Kelly Johnson, and I teach 8th grade world history at Alexander City Middle School.
And I'm Amber Pickard, and I teach 10th, 11th, and 12th grade U.S. history at Smith Station High School.
Perfect. Okay, my first question is, the English language learner student population in Lee County has doubled in the last 2 years. Have y'all noticed this demographic change with the students in your classes?
I know with Alex City we've had an increase in Korean students, but I do still have some Spanish-speaking students.
And have you noticed the change?
No, not really. I really haven't noticed much of any.
And what have you done as a teacher to make sure that these students do not fall behind in your class?
One of the things that we get if they are an ELL student is we get a packet that has all of the accommodations we can make based on what they've scored on their test. So we make sure we do the accommodations, any vocabulary that they need working on. Sometimes we can have them define words in their own language instead of having to define in their English language. So just working with them on those things.
And our textbooks give us like a kit for Spanish students, and like in the glossary in the back of our book has the Spanish glossary, and anything we do like online gives us the opportunity to convert it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And to follow up with that, what do you think the Auburn community and school system needs to do to help the English language learners succeed?
I think one of the things that would be helpful is getting parents more involved. I think a lot of times the language barrier affects them as well. And so if you kind of had like parents' nights and things that allowed them to get involved that and know what was going on in the school and know how to help their student, that would help them a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one of my questions was kind of about that too. Are their parents very involved in their schoolwork and their activities?
I think they are very involved. We've actually, in Alex City, attended workshops where we have like someone come and teach us how to work with students who have a language barrier. And a lot of times they say that yes, parents want to be involved, they just don't know how to be involved because they have a language barrier themselves.
Okay. And with this language barrier, are the students as prepared as the other English-speaking students?
I'm thinking of the like 1 or 2 I have in my classes. They're really okay. They are. Since I have high school, for the most part, I haven't had any that are just starting out at the high school level. And so by the time that they get to me, they're usually pretty caught up.
With middle school students, I had one last year that came and didn't speak any English at all, only spoke Spanish. And so he wasn't prepared for, my ancient world history class, but he came to class like he was wanting to be prepared. He was trying and doing everything he could, but there still was that huge language barrier that was an issue.
There's a huge childhood obesity rate in the Hispanic population as a whole. Do you feel that the Auburn school systems provide its students with healthy nutrition options in lunches and breakfast?
Oh, yeah.
I know at least our students complain that all the food is too healthy and they don't fry anything. And
there's a whole wellness program that is put into place that is trying to address childhood obesity across all groups, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they hate the food.
Because they say it's too healthy.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, nothing's fried or anything like that. It's all baked. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. On average, what are their grades like compared to the class average?
I think in mine it usually depends and depends on their accommodations as well. So we try to, give as many accommodations as we can. But usually, they're in the average group. Mm-hmm. They really are. I don't see any huge discrepancies as long as they're a student that comes in and is trying every day, they usually, with the accommodations, can succeed.
Okay. Both of your schools have many clubs and organizations for their students. Do you feel like there are enough opportunities for Hispanic student involvement in these groups?
I think there are. We have one student who's an ELL student, and he's an ambassador for the school, and so I think there are opportunities for them to get involved if they want to.
Do they branch out, or are they only friends with other Spanish speakers?
Mine branch out. Like, he's involved in the ROTC program and things like that. So yeah, he branches out.
I would say yes, they branch out. The one that came in that only spoke Spanish, he did stick with other Spanish-speaking students, and because that was his only way of communicating with anyone. So we encourage, we put him in classes with other Spanish-speaking students, so he would have a way of communicating. So I see both sides to it, depending on their language.
How are their interactions with the teachers?
I've never had any behavioral issues. Always very polite, wanting to please.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have one last one about that. What could be done to ensure that Hispanic students succeed socially as well as academically? What more could be done, do you think?
I guess that kind of goes back to what you were saying. Like, you make sure that some of them are in the same classes with one another.
Yeah.
And encourage them to branch out too. Sometimes, we have a counselor who is the ELL trained.
Okay.
She's gone through everything, and so she kind of takes them under her wing and makes sure that they're taken care of too.
And I only have one question that we haven't kind of touched on, and it's why do you think that there are so few Spanish-speaking students in this area? Because I know in Alex City, one of the statistics I found was that there's only about 3 out of all of the middle school.
Right.
Do you have any idea?
I mean, I guess it would have to, I know with Alex City, we just have a new factory that's open that's building parts for things. So I guess it's just availability of jobs and what type of jobs people are looking for.
Yeah.
And I think with the county schools, I think it might be different in other parts of Lee County. But the Smith Station area is very close to Fort Benning. And so we have an influx of military kids that come in and out of our schools. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case at Beauregard and Beulah and Lochapoka and places like that.
Okay.
I would say probably too, Auburn City Schools probably had a higher,
I bet they do too.
Alright, is that all we
Yeah,
have?
that's all I have that we didn't really touch on.
Done with the interview.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. You're welcome.